evening and welcome to US Space TV. This is our coverage of the 2022 rerun of the SRC election. It's just 54 minutes past 5 and today is the voting day where we are voting for a new SRC president. Now, as some of you may know, last year in October we had elections and then we voted for a president and there was a court issue and then we are back again to have a rerun. And so today is the day. The polls opened at 7 a.m. and it will close. It close at 5 p.m. I can't tell if it closed at 5 p.m. but I think ideally it should close at 5 p.m. So I'm joined in the studio by two other people to join in the conversation today. Next to me is my co-host Ernest, and then our political correspondent Prince Emmanuel. So my very first question is your assessment of the 2022 election so far. Just a general assessment.
All right. So thank you for having me. So I think the election is good. They are trying their best to bring out a free and fair election, but considering a lot of things which are going on with the reruns and all those court issues, that means with the court issues, that means a lot of things have to go on, like a lot of reorganization, a lot of steady priorities have to be set, a lot of things have to go in place, and like when I talk about steady, we have to look at the students' body, look at our school, and look at ways they can make sure that we will have that kind of election that has to be free from rerun. Because as things are going on like this, and as every year we are having a rerun and court issues, that means there is something that we are not doing so right. So we have to look at all those things in order for the students' body not to lose interest in the elections. Yeah, so that's my take.
Okay, Enoch, so what about you?
So from my point of view, it was good but not perfect. We had a lot of loopholes here and there. We are here today because of these loopholes, but I think there is a lot to take away in terms of positives. And I think going forward, a lot of things will be made right to make our elections free from these irregularities and constitutional breaches. Yes, and so concerning the rerun, I think it's not something that anybody will wish for in any election, because whenever you have a rerun, a lot of irregularities or a lot of drastic effect on the turnout of people. So I think that reruns are something that we should try our best to do away with, and going forward we should make sure things work out during our elections.
So just to give our viewers a bit of background, this year's presidential election, we are having just two candidates running, that's Roger and then Frank. And so in the very first election, he won with I think 56.24%. That's 1,252 votes. So that was so the total turnout for that election was 2,404 out of the eligible 8,148. You could see there's a difference about more than 5,000. So does it mean that students are gradually losing interest in the elections in US? Because again, when you go to the previous election, that is 2021, we had 4,090 people voting. That was for the first election. And then when was the rerun? There was 789. So would you be surprised if this rerun we get less than 1,000 votes?
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised. As I said earlier, if you're having elections year by year and we have rerun and the court issues, like the next year, the next or the following year, we'll have that kind of feeling that definitely there is going to be a rerun or things are not going to go well, because students feel like even the little 1 minute they use vote, they feel like you are taking off their time because they're not getting anything from you. So the more you keep on doing those things, the more like students will lose interest in the election, because you can't vote first time, you are coming to vote again, and the court issues and the courts have to say that, oh, whatever they did, there was nothing wrong with it, we should just let the issue go. Then you have to go to appeal, now we say that we should come and write the whole election again. Students have to register, go through a lot of stress, their email and all. Like they feel like there is no need for me to vote again. So definitely, I think this rerun that you're going to have, if they bring out the figures, they realize that maybe 70% of students wouldn't partake. Maybe I'll take only 30% or maybe 20% will partake in this election as we had previously.
Okay. Yeah. So before you come in, just want to say that we'll be speaking to our correspondent at Hokwe in just a moment, Edwin. So yeah, so you can Yeah, you can.
So I think the turnout will be low definitely, because from what we've seen over the previous years, the turnout for 2021 was that bad. You had a reduction of about over 1,000 people in the people who voted, and looking at the time we find ourselves in, the point in time where we find ourselves, school has just reopened, and there is so much going on. Registration for supplementary, people haven't paid their fees yet, people don't even have hostels to live in. I think all these things will come in play to make the turnout very low. So I won't be surprised if a lot of people don't vote this time round.
But then it could also be a surprise that we'll get people voting, or that cannot happen.
Oh, definitely, people are going to vote. If you are saying that there will be low turnout, doesn't mean that people will not vote. Definitely, people cast their vote. I voted. I'm sure you voted. So definitely, you are going to have turnout. And low turnout doesn't mean that the election is not valid. It's still valid. So we are going to have. But what you are trying to say that the whole student population having the opportunity to vote is what you are talking about, because people will feel like even the first election that we had, that was not a real one, that was a general election that we had, we didn't get the total number of voting. We have a significant number of students who didn't turn out to vote. So what about a rerun? Definitely students who didn't even turn out for the major elections are not going to turn up for the rerun, and percentage of those who turned up for the normal election are not going to also turn up for the rerun. So this one plus that previous one need to show that a greater percentage wouldn't turn out. That's why I'm saying that I think that I'm projecting that about 70% or getting to 80% of students wouldn't turn out for this election, because they feel like it's just a waste of time. Like, what kind of election is it that every year we keep on having court issues and rerun and all those things? Like, yeah.
Okay, so I think we have our whole correspondent now, Edwin. Edwin, hello, can you hear me? Hello, Edwin. Okay, so I don't think we can get him. We'll try and get him later. But then moving on with the conversation, I want us to now talk about the candidates that are running for this year. In 2021, we saw 5 people standing, and this year we have 2. Again, it brings the question that is it because people are losing interest, or the cost of the nomination for, I think somewhere last year it was around 400 cedis, and then the recent one jumped to 1,000 cedis.
Okay, so I think all these things are in play. A lot of people are losing interest, one, and since the price or the cost for registration has gone up, definitely people will not be interested, because not everybody is rich, or not everybody has a lot of money to get 1,000 cedis to pay for the registration. But I think this shouldn't be happening in subsequent years, because it is something that the federal SRC president position is something that when you get, you can do your best to help the school in your own way, and I think we should try our best to encourage people to go in for such positions.
Okay. Prince, what about you?
Okay, so previously when an issue about the amount came out, I thought it could be a hindrance for people not taking part, like registering to take part in the election or like contest for election. But I feel like it's beyond that, because if you are really interested to contest for the election, I don't think maybe like the money could be a factor, but I don't think the money is actually the reason why students are not trying to like partake a contest for the presidential election. Some of them like feel maybe the kind of processes, the things are not just in like the way election is held is just not in the right way, and a lot of things are not done properly, like how it's supposed to be done. So they feel like it is not worth using that like 1,000 cedis to go and take a form where you take part in an election where a lot of things are not done to go into the election and contest and go and waste 1,000 cedis and all those things, and yeah, that's one of the issues.
So I think now, before we come in, we have our correspondent, software correspondent, Edwin. Edwin, hello to you. Yes, so I understand that today is voting day, and then you were on Norway campus, and then you were speaking to a couple of people. So just tell us what the people were saying and what you heard from them.
Yeah, good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners all across. I did talk to the the local news president, Eric's the hopeful, the one who is contesting for local news president, one of the aspirants, that's Eric. And I also did talk to Destiny about it, right? Destiny, the vice president for Mr. Roger, and also one of the aspirants for the Hokwe provisional SRC president, that's Sir Joshua. So yeah, what I heard from Mr. Eric was he made it known to us that from his perspective, the organization with respect to sending emails and everything was something that he in particular wasn't appreciating at all, because in the morning members were on his DMs and making sure they will get the email and everything because they had not received it. So he had to direct them to check their spams and everything. And also I had seen from the other aspirants. And one thing that he made known is from his standpoint, he doesn't see majority voting today because of one, the election, because people lost interest in it. And also with the postponement to, it made people also.
I think we've lost contact with. I think we've lost contact with Edin, but then you heard what he said. People were gradually losing interest. So I think you can come in now.
My point of view, I think for a school like the University of Health and Life Sciences, the relevancy that comes with the federal president position is that low. People don't see what people. There are people in the school don't even know who the SRC president is, and they don't see what the SRC president is doing or does. And also, money goes into the rerun for court, going for court, those court cases and all those things. Sometimes you have to pay some money, and pay money to register and pay money for those court hearing and all those stuff can be a very huge blockage for a lot of people.
So it's 7 minutes past 6, and I mean we still haven't seen any flyer or anything circulating from the Electoral Commission as to whoever has won the election. But I know that there are two candidates for federal position, and that is Roger Marcos Lutret and Frank Betuba Chati. Then when you go to the position of the federal secretary, we have Madia Mustafa. It's just one person, so it's going to be a yes and no vote. Then we go to the position of the federal treasurer, Joyce Aflu, Godfred Amankwa. Then the women's commissioner, federal women's commissioner, Beatrice Akadiri and Ivy Edo. Then you go to the so those are the 5 federal. I don't know if you noticed this, but those who lost the first election, I didn't see them campaigning in this re-election. I mean, for instance, someone like Ivy Ido and Godfred Amankwa, I noticed like there wasn't really that massive campaigns because they lost or they don't think there's going to be a chance again. Or I mean, if it were to you, would you still campaign if you lose an election, then there's going to be a re-election?
Okay, so for my assessment, I feel like a lot of all the aspirants that contested, everybody was content and was okay with the result. The only person who was not content was like Frank Chati. I don't know when I'm clear.
Frank Chati.
Yes, he was the only one who was not content with the results, because you would not see any aspirants coming out to back him to say that, oh, whatever he's saying is true and I am siding with him or I'm going with him or no. But he was the only person who came out to say that he is not okay with it. So the rest of them, I feel like they are okay. They know that they really they lost. Even some of them came out to even give a flyer.
Yeah,
I saw, thank you. Not even thank you flyer. Some of them that lost.
Oh, okay.
Brought a flyer. Yeah, okay. So some of them thank you flyer to thank those who voted for them and those who believed in them. I saw about 2 flyers or so from people. So you can see that a lot of them who even lost were okay with the outcome of the election and how everything went. But it was only Frank that was not okay. We still felt like there was things didn't go on well.
So his problem was with the voting software. It brings my next question: the voting software. Do we go back to balloting, or we should still do the online? Or US is not ready for online? We should go back to balloting.
I think we should merge it. We should use both.
So hybrid.
Hybrid, something like that. Something like that.
When you raise balloting, they tell you that nursing students and some other students go on interest. That's why they don't want to do balloting and all that. But I was speaking with the EC at the University of Ghana, the former EC, and he was like, in the year 2021, they used the hybrid. So there was balloting, and then there was online. So you think UHAS can also do something?
Yeah, and I think it will be very good because there are so many people in school right now who don't know that elections is even going on.
Exactly.
But when they see the ballot box positioned somewhere, they realize that okay, they are voting. Even if I can't vote physically, I can just do it on my phone. And I think that will increase the people who turn up to vote.
Alright, so me personally, I don't think a hybrid is needed. I think what we should go with is the physical voting, because
But then you are going to need logistics.
that is why EC is charging as much as 1,000 cedis for a whole form. And like, I don't understand, because I don't know how much does those logistics cost. Look at it. So UHAS is a school that we are not up to that kind of level, even the whole Ghana, with our population as a country. We are able to have an election where we go physically to vote, cast our ballots.
It's not just even almost every country.
Every country, we are able to cast our ballots. So what is wrong with the fact that we go? You see, if we are trying to follow technology, or we are saying that we are being advanced, and what is moving to a technological era, we have to advance ourselves. You have to ask yourself, am I ready for that technological advancement? Do I have the things needed? Would that be in like? Would it not disadvantage someone? Will everybody be comfortable with it? Those are the questions you should ask yourself. Getting those ballot boxes and those papers and those things, how much would it cost than going to pay somebody for even the money they paid for the software developer? That amount of money can get ballot, because if you go to the EC,
Yeah, I understand. They give it
if you go to the EC office, you get all those things for free, and they will even deploy their people to come and take a look after the election here. They deploy people for free.
You have to print the ballot papers and speak them. Yeah,
so the money that you even give to the software developers, you realize that at the long run, you may even cast your like the cost and all those things. And people will go to schools. You position ballot box on various campuses. When I get to PEM site, I know that there is a ballot box here. I just go and cast my votes. And go. It's at everywhere. I don't need to go and click any link. There's someone that tell me the network is not good. I don't have to do this. I just have to go and sit down, go here. So beautiful, and everything will come back to this place. If we reach that era that we have to go like into the digital one or voting online, the situation itself will call for it. It will call for itself. Like that kind of era will call for it. We will not even be the ones saying that we are going to vote manually again. If the situation will call by itself that we should vote manually, but as at now and in some years to come, I think we should stick to the voting manually, because I don't see the need for this online voting. It has a lot of problems that we Gavin is a small body in the school that they don't even have the money or the logistics. Is able to have an election, and when I saw it, it was so beautiful, peaceful and a fair election. We were able to have it. So what shows that a whole SRC will not be having that money? Then what at all goes into the money that they are charging? What's the use of that 1,000 cedis they are charging those, and the 400 cedis they are charging others and all those things? What is the use for those monies? Like, what do you use them for if they can't get the logistics? And even most of them, the governments of Ghana will provide for you for free. If you go to the EC, just tell them they will deploy their people here too. And the most nice now is that if they deploy their people here, because those people are they are also experts in elections. They know how to run those things very well, and they collaborate with the EC here, and will give a fair election. Unlike you trying to do everything by yourself here, and you end up ruining the whole thing, going for a rerun, and also because if they are going to bring their people here, they'll have joint elections. If there is something you are doing that they know that it will cause for a rerun or will not be good, they will prompt you from the beginning that don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So they'll give you that advice. And bigger schools with populations are still going by that. They go on UPS, look at UPS's population. But every year they vote manually. You will see them even as at 7 p.m. People like the whole park, and like that's how I saw it on TV. Like I don't know which place was, but I saw that the whole place like was crowded. People were waiting for them to count their ballots, count the ballots in the evening. Like you see that a lot of people are interested to vote, and I feel like the next election are going to have, the next EC should we consider bringing back the manual voting? This online thing wouldn't help us.
And I think yesterday you raised a comment about the time the ECs happen. I was it you said when whoever comes into power, the person should immediately appoint an EC and not waiting about 2 weeks in the second semester before appointing an EC. Do you think that will have an effect on how they?
Yeah, I think it will have an effect, a very big effect on how things work, because if we are going by the manual that my friend here is suggesting, then we should find a way to pick the interest of the students. Like, they should be very interested in it, because if they're not interested in it, then they won't come to vote. And also, I think we should start engaging the students from the onset. Immediately they get to school, the left-handers should know what they are supposed to do when the time comes. Like, we should engage them, and they should find a way to communicate or engage a lot of people on campus to know when and how elections go.
Okay, I think we can focus on today's elections. So if whoever wins has about how many months? Like about 7 months or so to achieve his targets that he sets as president. Isn't the time too short? I mean, just this short. And then next semester we are going to vote again for another president.
That's the effect of a rerun. So, and all those people who are taking part in the rerun, they know that the time is too short.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a good leader, you'll be able to maximize your time and be able to achieve something. 7 months is quite a long time for you to be able to achieve something. You can't say that within 7, because you have only 7 months, you can't be able to achieve everything. Even if they give you a whole year, definitely you need to be able to achieve all your targets. But within 7 months, at least your major policies, you should be able to bring them out. So again, 7 months is not so long, but it's okay for them to bring something, to be able to bring out something.
And from my point of view, I think that it will affect the output, and I don't think they should blame anybody at all.
They should blame themselves.
They should blame the EC.
But is the EC entirely at fault? I mean, so we know that the EC decides. Does the EC even decide the mode of voting? So everything is subject to the approval of Parliament, right? Yeah. So if in as much as the EC is an independent body, there's this parliamentary oversight. So when the EC does something, maybe the constitutional instrument, the mode of voting and all that, which is inside, it is subject to parliamentary approval. So if there's a problem with it, then it is at the parliamentary level that it has to be identified. So is it really the EC fault?
Well, look at the petition that was provided by Frank. His address wasn't to the Parliament or whatever. It was to the EC. And from what he was saying, I think that the mistake wasn't coming from any other body, but from the EC. He was complaining of irregularities and lack of transparency, which I don't think will be the fault of the Parliament or whatever. It will be the EC's fault. So if we have an effect, a negative effect on the output, then it's probably the fault of the EC and not nobody else. And we shouldn't blame the people. We shouldn't blame the people in office, because if the time is short, probably they can't finish what they started.
Okay, it's 6:18 and so I don't know if I think polls have ended now, right? It's 5 p.m.
Sure.
But then there should be a professional declaration. I mean, we use Google Forms. I mean, it's out. Everyone knows that we use Google Forms, so the tally will come and then we'll know who won. Well, I don't know if they are still doing their financials. I mean, it's just an hour and 90 minutes, so maybe in some few minutes we'll see whether someone who won the election. So what happens if it goes the other way? If Roger loses and Frank wins, would he accept it or would he not accept it? Would he start the right to go? These are possible questions people are asking. I mean, if it's personal preference.
Yes, it depends. It will depend on
if it doesn't have the SRC, I'm like, okay, me too, I don't understand. I'm going to take this to court again. We're going to have.
But the thing is that you can't just say you don't understand. You are not understanding based on maybe something you've realized on an or irregularity. You have a point. That's the reason why you are not understanding. You can't take it to court and say I don't understand because I won first and they say no. So now means I don't understand. No, you have to have some solid reasons why you are not understanding. So if you don't have any of those reasons, then there is no way you can go to court or you can go anywhere that you have a problem or an issue. And one thing that I want them to look at in moving forward for us to have this one of these issues resolved is that they wait too much to lodge complaints. They wait too much to like take actions. If you know there is a problem with the software, you know EC is doing something or some irregularities that you don't like, you know that there is something ongoing, or you know that things are not going in the right direction, you should try as much as possible to draw attention of the students or of maybe even the leaders or maybe the how do I call it, the what's the name, the dean of students or all those people. If maybe the electoral commission will not listen to you, you can pay attention to the dean of students or any of those people before the election takes place. But I feel like the aspirants wait. They've noticed the problem, but they'll wait. They'll keep quiet for the election to take place. If the election takes place and like nothing goes on, maybe they lose, then they will now try to bring those things out. That is the reason why I'm saying that I say this. It annoys me when I listen to those things after the election is done. So I ask myself, so when you notice all these problems, why didn't you raise them before the election? Even if you raise them to the EC and the EC refused, now you realize that the EC, you see, after you have lost the election, you now know that we had a court. You now know that we have dean of students. You now know that we have people in bigger authorities. But before the election started, you never knew we had all those people. So you were only talking about EC. I told the EC and the EC said this. I told the EC and the EC said this. I raised concern, but EC didn't say this. So before the election began, you never knew we had all those bigger people than EC in the school to lodge a complaint. I feel like in years coming, we should enact laws. Things in the school should pass laws that if you don't, some of these issues, they should be raised before the election should take place. That is one of the steps that we can take, and we will to prevent reruns. If people are able to raise these concerns before elections takes place, we will prevent rerun. Because assuming Frank, all that Frank said, he had raised these concerns or drawn the attention of the dean of students or maybe the court or any of those people before this election took place, you realize that there will be no need for any rerun. Because maybe we would have solved all these issues, but you keep quiet on all these issues and wait, and say that, oh, let's fate decide. Maybe the students love me, so they will vote for me. If they don't vote for you and you lose, then you will now bring all these issues up. That this is the reason why. This is the reason why. This is the reason why. Then you are wasting the time of the whole student population. Yeah, that's one thing I want them to look at.
Okay. So I think later in the show we'll be speaking to the former SRC president, Abraham Norman Norte, to get his perspective. I mean, he has been president before, so he can tell us how to stop this kinds of things from happening. Yeah. So you're about to say something.
Yeah, what I want to say is that if those people who won in the previous election lose again or lose this time around, I think they have the right to go to court or whatever. But this all boils down to the EC. This time around, we pray that the EC doesn't leave loopholes to make people go back to the courts and have all this rerun stuff. And also, I think this should be a lesson to the EC and to all the people who are contesting and those who contest in the future, that if you see a fault, you should try to address it before the election takes place. And also, this is a logic game, not an emotion game. So if you lose, you shouldn't use your emotions to go for a run or whatever. Just look for your stats. If your stats is not good enough, just sit away and let's continue with the government.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just to remind, if you are just joining us, today is Thursday the 19th of January 2023, and today is voting day here on UHAS campus. Well, there's a rerun of elections for the federal SRC election, not just federal but then other portfolios. We voted for federal president, secretary, treasurer, women's commissioner. Then we voted for a provisional president, provincial treasurer, women's commissioner. The same for Hohwe. Then we vote for the whole local NUCS president, secretary, treasurer, and then president. So these are all the portfolios that we voted for in the election. I mean, the polls open today at 7 a.m. and then they close at 5 p.m. and it's past 5 p.m. I mean, so the polls have ended, but I haven't heard anything yet. So I don't know. Maybe we'll try to get a correspondent there who will give us updates in a moment as to what is happening there, whether the EC has done it. But then, and usually with this type of online election, you cannot even do projection because you have no idea. But then, if you can, based on the fact that the very first elections, you have it here that Roger got 1,352, and Fang got 1,052. So that's just 300. You see, it's a small gap. So this is not like a landslide election. It's just like 300 votes difference between the two of them. And then we move to the federal secretary. So when you move to the federal secretary, you can see that.
But actually, I feel like that the 300 votes, it's not as small as you are thinking it is.
It's a lot, but
looking at it in terms of quantity, 300 is a small vote, But comparing it to the kind of students we have in UHAS, 300 is very huge, because UHAS students in actuality, like, they don't turn out for voting, like they don't have voting. So if 300 people come out to vote, it's very huge. That number is very huge. So I don't see 300 in the case of in UHAS contest as a small number. Yeah, if it's other schools, I'll see it as a small number. The gap is so close. But for UHAS, 300 people turn out to vote. I don't see it as a small number at all.
So you think it's a small the difference?
Yeah, I think everything is. I don't really like the number, because we are in a school of about 8,000 people, and having less than half of the people voting is not something that should be encouraged.
I think the highest, I don't know the highest, but in the highest we had was last 2 years, 2021. That was 4,090. I mean that's quite high out of the 8,000. I think that's so far to me the most interesting election, where we had 5 candidates. Sunny Days, you're not here at that time.
When was that?
It was 2021.
2021, I think I was here. Yeah.
You were here, but you wouldn't really. Okay, so we had 5 candidates. Sunny Days, Esubontin.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we had 5 people. So yeah, so that made it like quite interesting, and that's where this court. That one too, we also had an injunction. There was a court issue. It brought about an acting president, and then we got all this now. So I think so far that has got the highest vote. So I don't know the turnout for today's one or how it's going to be. I mean, we are expecting quite a number of people to vote, but I don't know if it will be up to.
And even with that one, that we had a very huge turnout for the main elections. The other one was that bad.
718. I was
out of 4,761 eligible voters, having 789 people voting is not encouraging at all.
Once there's re-election, there's rerun of election, people lose interest. It's there.
So don't go down to the easy again. You should, if you cause the problem, then you should find a way to pick the interest of the student to vote again. Because it's your fault and this has happened. So we should just do something, like, seriously. We don't know. I don't know what will happen today, the turnout, but definitely to be low. But we don't expect something less than 789 this time around. Yeah.
You say you don't want?
We don't expect something less than 789.
I doubt it will be a bit higher. Because people, you see, fear imam. Somebody will tell you, I will not vote, but then secretly the person will go and vote. Even see national elections, so people like will not vote, they are not going to vote. I think we had over 12 million votes in total. Yeah. Okay. So I think that thing is also there. And okay, so now let's move on to talk about the SRC in itself. Once the president comes into office, he has a lot of stuff to do. One is about the school fees, addressing the school fees, and then trying to revamp the SRC, get students interested in it, and then other activities that the SRC does. Looking at what has happened so far, how do I put this question? Do you think the SRC still has that I think you can see that
capacity
exactly, not capacity per se. I mean, over the years you've not had successful elections, and management is watching. They are standing by. They are watching you. So if you go to them, wouldn't there be that, like, SRC will not be able to, because they'll be like, you can't even handle your own internal affairs. Just simple election you cannot conduct. And how are you able to? That was what somebody told me yesterday, that she doesn't have hope in the SRC speaking to management to reduce the fees, because even just common elections, and they are not able to successfully organize it, how much more an issue huge like that?
I think the SRC has lost its touch on the student body and the management.
So how do they get it back?
how do they get it back? I think that it should start from the elections. There should be fair. We shouldn't be going for a run. I don't know, but it shouldn't be happening as
So they are saying maybe this will be the last. Hopefully, and we'll not get another stuff like this again happening.
Yeah, it's true, but in the election, the rerun is also part of it. But I feel like,
I mean, runoff. So if a runoff happened, no one is understandable. But
a rerun as a result of lack of transparency and all this stuff.
Yeah, and also depend on the kind of leader we get as an SRC president. People are there who are very influential, and who are there who like, how do you say it, know how to have their way with issues. So if you get someone who is a very strong SRC president who knows how to have his way around, move around issues, even in the midst of elder people or management, so the person can be able to break through. Even if you look at the looks in general, the whole Ghana students body, they were not so vibrant like that. You will not hear of them that looks have done this until we had a current president. Like I said, they are not fighting for. They are fighting for.
You see him on national.
You see him on
speaking all the
BBC.
time.
That's why I saw BBC Africa, not BBC World. And like I said, he is going far. It was until this year and this last year that we voted like for this new person. So it all boils down to leadership. The kind of person we have as a leader who determine whether the person can make his way around management. It doesn't boil down to the fact that SRS has not been able to have his way around management, or he's not able to break his way through things. But if you get a leader who can be able to talk with management, who can be able to speak on behalf of students, or who can be able to fight for the student body, you will see that a lot of things will be done. It doesn't matter the kind of history you already have. Because if I'm the SRC president, I stand my grounds that the students need this, the government said this, we need this. And you see that a lot of things will change. It all boils down to the kind of leader we have. That's it. It all boils down to the kind of leader we have. If not anything, take the case study of the Nooks president, as I said, and look at it.
Yeah, he has done. He's doing well. I think I was watching Ghana Tonight on TV3, and he came and was speaking about the school fees. He called out University of Ghana and all that. So I think you have a point that it boils down to the kind of leader, someone who can stand up and speak. And I'll give an example would be someone like Apalu. I mean, that's my personal opinion. He was able to do it. He did his part. He's gone. He had another acting Hagan who also came and did. I mean, he was just an acting president, but then he did so well, tried to stay out of the politics, and so it's like the bar has been raised for whoever comes to also maintain that same kind of that same kind of effort in the shoes of SRC president. And so, like I said earlier, still nothing on who has won so far. But I don't know. Maybe by 7 we hear something. So I don't know, but. This should have been out, because according to the constitution, I think they're supposed to give a provisional declaration when the polls close at 5, and then 3 days later, if no one challenges the election, if there's no petition, if there's nothing, then they'll do the final declaration on, I think 3 days from today's Monday, and then we have the president, and then the swearing will take place, and then after handing over, he will now have to come and appoint committee chairpersons. So after appointing the committee chairpersons, then this committee chairperson will have to appoint members. All will be subject to parliamentary approval. They'll appoint chief justice, appoint electoral commissioner, and all this. So even I think actually, so there was a point you raised earlier that so if an electoral commissioner is appointed this semester, he can start doing all his preparations before next semester. So when he gets there, I mean, like little pressure
will be on
him. Still nothing on who has won the election so far. I mean, everybody is anxiously waiting. I mean, people are not interested, but everybody low key is interested in who wins, who becomes the election. Imagine if it turns sideways, it will be something else. And so if you're watching, you can send us your comment on WhatsApp on 0501649771, or you can tweet with the hashtag US Space TV. And so we tried to get the former UGEC chairperson and then speak to him and get his views about elections in US and elections at the University of Ghana and how successful it has been, and when US can do the same. I think KNUST they also do online, but they do it so perfectly that I don't know if you observed last year. So you don't hear. I've never since they started, I don't hear anything about these irregularities and all that. And yes, it's online, but they still have this polling centers where you go and then vote with the PC. I don't know if you follow the elections.
It's like a hybrid something.
No, not hybrid. It's online, but then there's a PC there, so you go and then you vote.
Like a real-time screen that you can see what's happening on.
Yes, so when you go, the candidates are listed there and then you vote and all that. So they have EC officials that do that. So they set up in key locations at their halls and some of the colleges. So maybe College of Humanities, there'll be a polling center there and all that. So when they finish and then they collate the results and raising the points of transparency. I think last year during the University of Ghana's election, the EC was given hourly updates. So maybe as at 9 a.m., 800 people have voted. As at 10 a.m., 1,000 people have voted. As at 12 p.m., 5,000 people have voted. As at 4 p.m., maybe 20,000 people have voted. So it did two things. It made people see, oh, people are voting, so let me vote too. It shows that like there's transparency. There's nothing.
Everybody's interested.
Exactly. We have nothing to hide. So I don't know if you have. I mean. Maybe we are doing too big compared because those schools are
no, I think going forward we can adopt that because that real-time computerization screen that people see and know what is going on will actually pique the interest of a lot of people.
Yes.
For all you know, somebody doesn't even know we have elections today because I talked to some people earlier today and they were like, they didn't even register. Or some people don't even know about it. But when you see your favorite person losing, probably you go and vote for you, go and cast a vote and see if there will be a change or something.
Exactly. And it's also transparency again. So the EC is meant of free, fair, and transparent election. That's what we've been boiling over and over and over again for it to see. So I don't know how to go, but I'm just waiting to see if the results come, how it will turn out, whether there will be changes. But if you ask me, I think there will be little.
Little to no change.
I mean, so for the other categories, if you watch it, most of it is yes and no. So it's like this year, not a lot of people went for the position. So most of it is yes or no. So I doubt if there'll be changes. I mean, everybody is just focusing on the federal positions, focusing on the treasurer, the secretary, the women's commissioner, and all that. So there's like 90% chance.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that the number of people who vote also have an effect on who wins the election. So let's say you had over 2,000 people voting in the previous one, and if you just like you did what happened in 2021, we had over 2,000, 4,000 people voting. All of a sudden, it came down to 789. So something like that can actually affect the whole thing. Like somebody. What if your people, let's say Rogers people didn't vote this time around and Frank's people vote? You get it? A change, anything can happen, and I'm actually suspecting that there will be a change or something very different will happen this time around.
Oh, in this?
Yeah.
You also think something? Oh, this will be the same.
Yes, I think that's what they said. For yes or no votes. Many people are not interested in voting. I
think I'm still so whilst you raise that, I'm still surprised how people still choose no. I mean, like, it's just yes or no. I mean, so even though when I say this, I never choose like no. Even if I know the person, I've not seen before. I always choose yes because I feel
that part is like sympathy votes. I don't know. You just see it. You can't choose no.
Yeah. You were saying something.
Choosing no makes you too wicked. It makes you evil.
Well, that is the people would it yes or no votes. Oh, the best I've tried. Nobody wants to go. Let me also just vote for you. Just cast for you. Some people just feel like, oh, even if I know a lot of people vote for yes, let me just put a no. That I'll be like, But some people too genuinely may feel like this person, although he's the only person who goes, he does not deserve it. So let me give you a no. You don't know.
So it's person specific.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think this boils down to we making the SRC vibrant and interesting, because in subsequent years or in future you want to see a lot of people coming for this position. You don't want to that yes or no vote. I don't know whether you know the person or you don't know the person. You just cast a yes and you just go forward. But if you have a lot of people in there and the SRC is a vibrant one, I think you will get the best, because now we don't know the person, what the person can do, the policies the person has, but we just have to choose yes because that's the only option we have. I think going forward we should find a way to do something about it.
Yeah, and then speaking about the policies, we'll talk about that. But I think so. I think one of Roger's policies. I saw something about the construction of a gymnasium. I don't know if you saw that, a possible gymnasium. You've not seen it. Okay. So this is still the show, Election Night show. We are going on a very, very quick break. We'll be right back to talk about the policies, and then we'll get to see if we have the results of the election. So keep watching.